I mean, I get really worried about the way that these election debates are now unfolding. Virtually everything in the debate at the moment is about these opinion polls, and apart from a few postal votes, nobody's voted yet. And I just do not for 1 second believe that the Conservatives are going to get virtually wiped out. I just don't believe it. For Labour to win a majority of one, they've got to get a bigger swing than we got in 1997 and Clement Attlee got in 1945. I just think there's something going very, very wrong with these polls. I could be completely wrong, and it's true that Labour have been consistently ahead. But I just wish that in election periods we would talk less about polls and more about what the parties are saying, because I just don't believe these MRP polls, I'm afraid. I think they're absolute nonsense. And when you drill down on some of them, they do these big constituency polls. They say, oh, look, Jeremy Hunt's going to lose his seat and Liz Truss is going to lose her seat. And God, I hope that happens. And on we go. But actually, when you look down, you're talking about tiny numbers of people, sometimes self-selecting, that they're talking to. So, no, I just think we should move off the polls and talk about future of the country, the different things that the parties are putting forward. And ultimately, nobody, when we're going to vote, nobody can vote for an outcome. We can only vote for the one candidate that we're allowed to choose.
Alistair, we're going to do that. We'll forget about the polls for now. We'll probably mention them again, I'm afraid, in the next 2 weeks. But I want to go back to policy. And look, I have always been a student of what you've done and what others have done and what they've done right and wrong in campaigns. And as logical as it seemed, many of the policies of Neil Kinnock and the Shadow Chancellor John Smith in 1992, they lost that one. And again, you're going to educate me here, but lost it in my recollection because John Smith threatened the country with a 50 pence tax rate rather than the 40 pence as it was. Is there a danger that history could not repeat itself, but actually concerns over taxation, because it's become right at the forefront of a lot of the key debate and proper debate this time round? Is that something that actually could send some of these potential Labour voters actually back to the Conservatives and elsewhere?
Well, you're certainly right that Labour leaders through history who have, for clear progressive reasons, wanted to make public services better. Back in that election that you're talking about, the specific proposed tax rises were to fund higher pensions and higher child benefit. And there's no doubt whatsoever that the weight of the Conservative attack upon those proposals, helped by the most right-wing newspapers, frankly anywhere in the world, helped the Conservatives to win that election and Labour to lose. And I think that's one of the reasons why Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves are being so cautious in a way. I mean, some of us in the Labour Party think, you know what, you're not boxing yourself in a bit too much by saying no rise in income tax, no rise in national insurance, no rise in VAT. But from a political perspective, I completely understand why they're doing that. And as you've seen since the launch of the manifesto, the Conservative attack now is essentially saying, well, you haven't ruled out this one and you haven't ruled out that one. And I think Keir Starmer's right to sort of hold firm in saying, well, you're not going to write a whole parliament's worth of budgets. And of course, back to the point about the polls, even though I said I wouldn't mention them, the fact that the narrative within this campaign is already about, the Tories have lost, what happens next, that means that the Conservatives are not put under the same sort of pressure on policy and on the things that they're saying, which frankly I think they should be. As, by the way, should be the smaller parties like Reform, with that ridiculous nonsense that Farage came out with his costings the other day.